Hello and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, I am so glad to have you here. And those of you who have been here before, welcome back. This is my time where I work hard to expand your world of thought, help you explore the world of positive thinking, Bible-based law of attraction and consciousness from many points of view. I intend, during this program, to share with you information that will enlighten and empower you in your life. I'm here to encourage you to think in the positive. And truly, honestly, I want you to know that miracles can happen. I believe you and I and everyone on this earth has been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that we desire. I hope all is well with you. I hope that you are doing fantastic and that in your outer world, you are experiencing the changes that are needed to make you the best that you can be. I recognize that during this time frame, and this is October 2020, that a lot of us are in situations where we are unsure of how we're going to live, or if we have a place to live, or putting food on the table. I work part-time at this big store, and I see many people spending money, buying lots of things, closing on new homes or updating old ones, buying new furnishings for those new homes. And they're doing that without any worry. And as I look and they talk about the unemployment rate and what's going on, I'm not sure. There's the official unemployment rate. And then there's the unemployment rate for people who have just dropped out of the market, or people who are like me, solopreneurs. And therefore, we're not doing the unemployment thing because we're not really counted in that. We don't pay unemployment insurance. So if we don't get a job, then we just don't get a job. We don't apply for unemployment, and so therefore we could drop off the earth. So a lot of people who are solopreneurs have been going through the process of rethinking. The term has been called pivot. Pivot from your normal way of marketing yourself, of going to networking events, or going, even some people went door to door or to different businesses to market themselves. Now there's online and webinars. And there's so many webinars being changed, and so many freemium ones, and so many to be paid for. And it's just interesting. And so when I was thinking about what I was going to do for the Manifesting Napoleon Hill, which I really haven't done one in quite some time. I've talked about it, but not really with that title. I was wanting to do something that would be pertinent for today. And so today, the title is The Power of the Mastermind. In 1937, Napoleon Hill released his bestseller, Think and Grow Rich. Now, in previous podcasts and videos, I've talked about the fact that Think and Grow Rich didn't just come to be. Napoleon Hill had created a home study course. They called them correspondence courses back then because you got a packet in the mail every week. And it was really a success program in 16 lessons. And I've mentioned it before. And during this time, so that was 1927 when he first did that. And in the meantime, he had issues in his life and all that. And he got married, and he married a pretty smart woman. And it is my conjecture, my thought, that as she saw what he had, and she says, okay, you've got that correspondence course, but we need to reach a larger audience. Yeah, have you talked about that for yourself or for looking for work? You got to find a larger audience or more people to give your resume to or to talk to. And so he took what was in that course, which is rather large, even though it's 16 lessons. Each lesson could be 50 some pages in length. And took the best, what he felt was the best of the best, and put it in this book called Think and Grow Rich. Millions of copies have been sold, and it came out at the right time because 1937, we were still dealing with the Depression. There were still people who needed to make money. And when you see Think and Grow Rich, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what the book sold for back then, but it sold a lot it made him rich for a little while. Because he was a spendthrift, but that's another episode that I made a while back. Anyway, but people needed a way to do this. Now, the thing that is interesting for me with this whole thing, the more I study it and teach it, is that he put in a lot of really good principles in this book. And when I first read this book back in the 80s, it didn't mean anything to me. It was like, okay, and, what am I going to do with this? And there was something in my thinking back then that did not allow me to really appreciate the book, which is part of the reason why I teach the master class on the book, because I want you to realize how important this book is and how by studying it and implementing the things in it, you could actually change your life. It's helped me in many ways. I did realize that a lot of things that were in there I was already doing, and maybe that was part of why it didn't sit with me in the way that it does now, because I was being successful in what I was doing. And it's funny, but the upbringing and the way it was, I never thought about being rich. I'm serious. I thought about being comfortable. I thought about not worrying where my meal was going to come from. I thought about, this is the kind of house I want. And I never aspired to $1 million house. But I had this certain kind of house in my mind. But it wasn't to become wealthy. And so therefore this book and the things in it, I wasn't striving for those things. And many of you aren't. You can't see it. You can't see being wealthy. I've quoted Steve Harvey many times when he said, I asked God to make me rich, a millionaire, a multimillionaire. I asked for that. And he, just like Medea, what's his name, Tyler Perry, both wound up sleeping in their cars, but they were chasing a dream. I never wanted to sleep in a car. I never wanted to give up anything. I wasn't willing to give up a good job, a well-paying job, to go after a dream. But the thing was, in my well-paying job, I was living the dream. So looking at this and thinking about today, I'm going, what is it that a lot of people really need? Now, this book, as I was saying, you go to a direct sales training and it's one of the books that you're told to read. But the problem is you're not told to study it because that's where the magic is. But on top of that, they're not telling you why to study it and what it can do for you if you follow the path and you follow and do the things that the Napoleon Hill tells you. Most everybody, said this before, chapter 2 has been taught by all the people who are talking about goal setting and everything. They pulled chapter 2 out because that's the chapter that talks about setting your goal, how much money you want, setting a date and doing all this stuff. And I'd been to, goal setting things before and listen to the guy and, okay, I put a date on it and the date passes. And what I wrote the goal down didn't happen. And what I realized is I really didn't want that goal. I really didn't have a burning desire inside of me for that particular goal. But one of the things I think that's needed today is people around you that can help you create that master plan that you want and help you succeed. But not only help you, but everybody in your group will be helping each other to do the things necessary to either find that better job or to move your business to the next level or to land that contract. You want to form a team. And so that team is called the Mastermind. Now, I've seen them, I've been invited to join these things. I was in one for 2 years, and it was called a mastermind group or a coaching group or whatever, and I was never quite satisfied when we had these so-called mastermind sessions, because people would make recommendations and they didn't know me. They didn't know me and the person that I was and the personality that I have and the knowledge that I have and the things that I could share. But it was just an hour of us being together and throwing information out at each other like, oh, you should do this or you should do this but we didn't know each other. And then each time we met in the session, there would be somebody different at my table. We didn't have time to sit down and get to know each other. But these are the kind of masterminds. And you're called and you're put in a hot seat and okay on the hot seat. And I'm in the hot seat and I say, well, here's my problem. And everybody starts brainstorming these ideas. And sometimes, it can work. I had a couple good ideas come out of it. But then we'd go on our way and we'd never talk to each other again until next time the mastermind group got together. But like I said, I wouldn't be at the same table with the same people, so I couldn't report basically, on what I did unless I made an effort to. But this wasn't the kind of mastermind that Napoleon Hill wanted us to do. Now, this mastermind that I was just talking about has been changed into a money-making business by coaches and seminar leaders. And yeah, it's a good idea because you pay big bucks, and yeah, the leader teaches you a lesson at the front, before your mastermind starts. And but that whole lesson might not be something that you needed. Somebody else in there might have needed it. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. It may be good for a while and when you're first starting, but you need something stronger. You need something more powerful. And this is the mastermind that Napoleon Hill had in mind. Now he says, the mastermind was considered the 9th step toward riches. So you've learned 8 other things before you got here. And we talk about that in the master class. He says power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. And the fact that if you have plans, they're useless unless you have enough power to translate them into action. And power, he defined it as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Now, in the previous chapters, we're talking about knowledge and specialized knowledge and some other things. So let's just look at this. All right. So power refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute or to change desire into its monetary equivalent. And it's required for the accumulation of money. It is necessary for the retention of money after it's been accumulated. So Napoleon was being very clear here. You need power. All right? And power is defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. So you're smart. You know a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't know what it is that you know, but if you're an artist, you've got a certain kind of art that you do. You've got a talent there. If you are a teacher, you've got a certain kind of talent when you're teaching. If you are a mechanic or a painter or a computer programmer, a coder as they call them today, whatever it is, you are a carpenter, you are a landscaper. I'm just throwing things out there. I don't know what your talent is, but you've got some knowledge, right? So power can be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. And this power is required for the accumulation of money, and it's necessary for the retention of money after it's been accumulated. So you've got to have some knowledge. Okay. Now he goes on. All right. And here he says, let's ascertain how power may be acquired. This organized knowledge. So you've got some, but how do you get some more? How do you make it more in depth? First, he says, infinite intelligence. This source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter. All right, so infinite intelligence is referred to the universe, the creator, where you are tapped into the universe. I call it the universal mind, the universal field, the 0 point field that we are all interconnected with. Now, this goes into quantum physics and a whole bunch of other things. So let me just say that infinite intelligence is the creator, and that we are tapped into this huge creation. We are tapped into everyone on the earth and all things on the earth. And it's on a subconscious, superconscious level. I'll just stop there. He said accumulated experience is the second one. All right. So now this accumulated experience may be found, as he said, in a well-equipped public library. Now, right now, we're not going to the library, but I mean, you go to a library, it's like going to a college library and being able to find the books that you want, being able to go online and find research. Now, let me tell you this. We can go online, we can use the infinite internet, and we can search using Google and Yahoo and Bing and all the rest of them. But there are some things that you really need to gain access to via the library and reading books. I have Kindle, I have Nook, I have PDFs, but I always, if I have the PDF of something, I wind up going and having it printed out because I want that. I want to highlight it. I want to put circles around it. I have a PDF version of Think and Grow Rich printed out, 8.5 by 11. You may have seen it in some other videos. And it is highlighted with notes in the margins. I'm looking at one page here, and I've got pencils around, marks or circles around paragraphs. All right, so that I can understand, and when I open the book and I go to that section, I can go right to that information. Right? Here's one. And this one is in which chapter? Let me see, because this chapter is like, I got so many orange and yellow highlighting and circles, but this is one thing that I circled. If you choose to follow some of the instructions, but neglect or refuse to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith. This is from chapter 4, auto suggestion. I mean, chapter 4, I've got notes everywhere in the margins in the back. And here in this chapter, which is chapter 10, Power of the Mastermind, same thing. I've got lots of notes and things, and I make use of it. So accumulated experience, it's important of this information because at that time, and still today, it's taught in schools, colleges, universities. It's been classified and organized, and it's in books and it's online, and you can pull it up and you can have that at your fingertips. The third one is experiment and research. Now, we have done that. I do that. I mean, each time I teach this master class, I have added things. I've taken things away. I've based on the feedback I get from the students. It's like, okay, we really need to talk more about this and less about that. So I learn a lot through the experience, and then I do additional research. Same thing I do with my Slam Your Exam class. So those kinds of things are necessary. Infinite intelligence, accumulated experience, experiment, and research. Right? So you convert and you get this information, and this is power for you. And then you organize that information and knowledge into plans and express a form of some kind of plan that you want, and then have a method or an action. But what does that have to do with the mastermind? Well, you've got all this information, but a mastermind, okay, you're going to gain more power through the mastermind. And he defines it as the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. You're two or more people. And for me, a good mastermind is no more than 5 people. You get more than 5 people and it becomes unwieldy, because each person is going to talk about what they need when you meet and you talk and you go through this. So right now I'm in a mastermind of 3 people. It's just 3 of us. And we meet once a week. And sometimes we change the meeting based on, our needs and what's going on, but we meet once a week. We know each other. We know what each other really loves. We've learned that over these months. We started meeting in February. So we've been meeting and changing things and, helping each other with software or wording or just applications. I mean, just all kinds of things that come up. And now we're doing some other things together. But instead of having this hot seat kind of thing, when I talk about what I want, when I talk about what I didn't do that I had said I would do, and they get, because now you've got accountability to each other. But when I do this, I feel heard. And this whole concept it gives you intangible power. Because as the 3 of us work together, or you get in one with 3 or 5 people, and you're helping each other, and each of you are all 3 of us are in different businesses, right? So we do different things, but we have the same kind of needs when we're marketing and talking and looking for clients and devising our seminars and our programs and speaking engagements. We're looking at that and helping each other. So Napoleon Hill says, no individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. And truly, you need somebody to look over your shoulder. Now, some of you may have the money to hire a consultant, who has all this experience, and he comes in for an hour or 2 and look over your stuff and give you some ideas. And, you might form a bond, and you're spending money together. All right? You're spending money on your wonderful consultant. And there are some really good consultants out there. I've had a couple. So I'm not knocking consultants, but with this mastermind, you're not paying each other. You're paying each other in knowledge, and you're taking the synergy of the knowledge of all of you. This is the thing that just blows me away about us. The synergy of the knowledge of all 3 of us. We have come up with things that one had one piece, I had a piece, and the 3rd one had another piece, and we put them together and created something. And I call that the synergy of all of our minds and our knowledge and our expertise coming together to help us create something that is awesome and that all 3 of us were able to use in our own way. So he goes on, the psychic phase of the mastermind principle is much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend, he says, because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a 3rd invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a 3rd mind. Let me say that one again. No 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a 3rd invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a 3rd mind. And it reminded me of a scripture, which I do not know which one it is right now, but somebody might be able to put it in a note, and I'll look up later. But it says, where 2 or more are gathered together in my name, right? This power comes. It comes, and you, I mean, seriously, there is magic happens. So, what kind of magic do you want to happen in your life? I'm typing in the Bible Gateway right now, but it's not quite there. I have to find where that um, statement is because I'm not using it exactly right. But two or more are gathered together in my name, and well, I'll find it. I was hoping I'd find it before just by typing that in real quick, but I didn't. So, the human mind is a form of energy, and part of it being spiritual in nature. So when when the three of us get together, or your group gets together, there is a synergy that happens. There is a melding of mind. There is a commonness of purpose that comes together when you're working seriously. This isn't like going out for drinks and having a party, and you're there seriously to get some work done and to help each other do better in their business. And so this is what a true mastermind is. He talks about Mr. Carnegie. He said that he had studied with Mr. Carnegie and he studies his thing. He said Mr. Carnegie's mastermind group consisted of a staff of approximately 50 men. Now, remember, Mr. Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, was a pretty smart man, and I believe this is the Carnegie Steel of Pittsburgh fame. So this is the type of mastermind where the person has the money to spend it on people. He said approximately 50 men with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through his mastermind. All right, so this was a mastermind that he paid for. All right, the group together. I can think of Henry Ford. He had a mastermind of engineers to create the V8 engine, and he kept sending them back because they said it's impossible, but they finally did it. He said, when a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. So that's what I was saying. We have such a synergy that we wind up coming up with ideas that we go, I don't know where that came from, but that sounds like really good. And this, what popped in my mind when I'm reading that was the moon mission to get us to the moon before the Russians got to the moon, right? And I mean, they used cheap contractors and they did things, but they eventually got us to walk on the moon a couple times, right? So think about who's in your group, who's in your circle that you would like to create a mastermind with. And you might just start out with one person that you meet. I have another friend that we meet once a week. And we have a conversation and we check up with each other. Now that's a mini mastermind and we exchange ideas. But I love this 3-person group that I have because we all have definiteness of purpose. So I hope this little bit of information, and that's not all that we learn in this mastermind, this chapter on the mastermind. There's qualities of money, the way we think, but the key is that you have a definiteness of purpose, that you gain this power through knowledge, and you take that knowledge and you direct it. And that power is required for the accumulation of money, and it's necessary for the retention of money. So just think about that. But if you don't have Think and Grow Rich, go get the book. You can find it. I mean, if you got a half price books, you can find it. I got a copy version for $3.99. Or go online. There are free, look for a free PDF version if you like, and start studying that. And then if you want to become part of the masterclass, just go to tinyurl.com/ThinkRich 2019. No, I did not change it to 2020, and 2021's coming up. So tinyurl.com/ThinkRich 2019. And in there, it'll let you know when I'm going to start the next class, what the cost is, and we'll do that. And in fact, I've been procrastinating. I need to get the workbook up on Amazon. So if you want just the workbook, you'll be able to purchase that. But that as of 10/18/2020, it's not up there yet. So hopefully when you listen to this in a couple months, it'll be there. Anyway, this is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. Please give this a thumbs up. If you like it, please go through and subscribe and ring the bell if you're watching this on YouTube. I would appreciate it. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.